Hello and welcome to PSD Sports Talk. This is Randy McCoy along with my friends David Haase and Kevin Lytle here. We're going to talk a little bit about the previews of this year's basketball season with Poudre School District Sports. And both you guys cover a lot. Dave is a play-by-play man for PSD Sports. Kevin is the high school sports reporter for the Coloradoan here in town. So let's talk a little bit about as we get ready to talk about the Poudre girls team this year. Should be a really strong team. Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, as we looked at before, a lot of experience for Curtis Glessman's team this year.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. They play a really defensive style, and all the girls that are in this team that are going to get a lot of time have a lot of experience. They've been the system. They know how to run his system. They defend really well. Anna Haugen, just a phenomenally smart player, does everything really well.
She's the QB on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. She's kind of the perfect player for high school and, again, for Curtis's team. And then Cecilia Berkner, another great defender along. They're kind of the headliners of this team that's just really athletic, really experienced. I really think they can make a run at the Front Range League title this year.
And a team with, as we said, a lot of balance too. There's not just the one dominant scorer. They've got a lot of players that can step up on a game-to-game basis.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably six that on any given night can get you double digits up to 15 or so. And really, if you have a couple doing that with the way they defend, they're going to win a lot of games. They held Rocky Mountain to 22 earlier this year in one of those preseason tournaments.
In the tournament.
They're going to do that to a lot of teams. That's not a shot at Rocky Mountain. They're going to hold a lot of teams to 20s and single-digit quarters throughout. They're just a great defensive team, experienced team, and they can make another playoff run this year.
And look for them to be really in the top 10 in 5A most of the year, as they are during this taping. They are already in the top 10, so that'll be great. Speaking of Rocky Mountain, Kevin, tell us a little bit about the Rocky Mountain girls team that's come out. Poudre and Rocky have already played, but what have you seen with Rocky Mountain so far?
Yeah, Rocky Mountain's an interesting team. They're really, really athletic, guard heavy. They're going to move it up and down. Got a lot of great athletes. Sarah Jones transferred in from Loveland. She's already had a great start to the season. She kind of helped them win a tournament in San Francisco, one of those non-conference tournaments. Then you look at Holly Mackey, Jay Gosar, Gabby McDonald. You look at these girls, they play a lot of different sports. They're really, really athletic, and they're another one. Similar to Poudre, they have a lot of girls that can score, so there's not one person you can key on.
Yep, Todd Mackinen, with his year he's got going so far, 8-1 to start the year off. That tournament win out of state gets a lot of people repetition. But then, as you say, they're going to go along. They're going to have to find that primary shooter, too. Look for Mackey to have a year that if they go far, they're going to have to find that shooter, that outside scoring to complement Jones.
Yep, definitely.
And one of the things people may not realize, this is one of the toughest girls conferences in the state, is this Front Range League. So these teams, when they're good for the whole state, because this is a tough conference.
Yeah, the Front Range League always has lots of teams at playoffs. It seems like every year there's at least one in the Final Four. Broomfield was phenomenal last year. Poudre a couple years ago. Poudre and Foster Ridge a couple years ago went to the Final Four.
And 3 years ago they had 8 teams in the Final 16.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is a tough league. And speaking of teams who has been tough in the past, but this year is going to be in a little bit of a rebuilding. Tell us a little bit about the Fort Collins Lambkins.
Well, Coach Shergoning's team, as a record goes, may not have the record they've had 3 years ago when you've had the players like Peyton Humple and others that have gone on to play college ball. But with Delcy Johnson and Carson Maitland, he's got young kids to start building on again.
Yeah, if you look, you mentioned Maitland and Johnson there, and there's Mars Swanson, Emily Williams. There are a lot of these young players that are kind of starting to get into the rotation, play bigger roles. I think they'll get even more as the season goes on. And so you can look at, they'll have some successes this year, but then building towards the next couple of years, there's a lot of talent there that is going to kind of start to take over that program.
Coach Shergoning's system, too, as we all know, a very defined system, how the teamwork, fits together. Those kids, they'll be there by the end of the year. Well, they'll be fun to watch.
And as we all know, Fort Collins, all their sports teams are tough. They all play really hard.
They'll compete.
And every sport in both genders, they're always tough. And the final team we want to talk a little bit about, Kevin, is the Fossil Ridge SaberCats. 2 years ago, made it to the Final Four, made it to the championship game. And so talk a little bit about the Fossil Ridge SaberCats girls team this year.
Yeah, they lost a couple of their really, really key players last year with Brooke Pemberton and Kelly Willer, but they still have plenty of talent. Sammy Stefik, this is kind of her team now. She was sort of the third option last year. Now she's the senior leader. She's going to score the most. She does a lot of things well. She defends really well. She can rebound as a guard. distribute the ball. Her little sister, Ashley's a freshman. She's going to be good. And then you have a few others. Britt Mishak is capable of having some big games. Reagan West, a great defender. Yep. She can score it as well. I think she might be second right now. They're pretty balanced. You have Sammy and Ashley are probably the biggest scorers, but a lot of girls that do a lot of things well.
And Chad Saul's coming off an 18-7 season. Most coaches would die just to have a record like that, but they have a chance to match that again.
And Foster Ridge, both boys and girls have really high standards. They've had a lot of success both in the girls and boys teams over the last 5 or 6 years. So fully expect them to be right there again this year as they are in every other year. So let's talk a little bit about some key matchups that are going to happen. Obviously, Poudre and Rocky playing each other. Both the teams don't play twice now like they used to because of
That's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Used to be a home and away for all the city games, but now there's not.
Yeah, we miss those boys and girls matchups where you got 2 at one night and then you go back and do it at the other gym the next time. And unfortunately, it's nice to add other teams to the conference, but I think that takes away from the local.
Yeah, it's definitely a bummer to lose those. I think they're great for everyone involved. Yeah. That's why it was so lucky for us to have Rocky Mountain Poudre run into each other in the championship of that non-conference tournament. It's a non-conference game, but we'll get to see them play twice. And that could well be a battle for the city when it comes around. And it'll be interesting to see how Rocky, adjusts to having faced that Poudre defense once. Rocky Mountain Poudre disrupted them as they do a lot of teams. So now Rocky kind of
younger team to see how they progress during the year.
And then obviously Fossil will be playing both teams as well. So and I'm not sure at this taping who plays at home on those, but those are always good games. We always have good broadcasts. We always have a lot of people watching. We also always have packed gyms for all those games, both boys and girls. So anyway, that's it for the girls preview. We'll be back after these messages for the boys preview.